Hi, welcome back to the Coach Barnabas podcast. I'm Corey. This is episode 61. If you happen to catch episode 60, you'll know that the topic was about forgiveness and reconciliation. And you got to know if you're preaching it, so to speak, you're talking to somebody and you're talking with somebody about forgiveness, reconciliation, that kind of thing, you're going to be put to the test pretty much immediately afterwards. And that was absolutely the case in my life, as this week presented an opportunity for me to practice what I preach. So I was kind of put to the test a little bit, and that's fine. Things are what they are. Certainly nothing life-shattering or anything like that, but a situation where I had to just kind of let something go and just like, whatever, let it roll off your back, and without taking stuff personally or without getting into it or arguing or any of that kind of stuff. And you know what? There was probably an earlier version of me who would have rolled up my sleeves, metaphorically speaking, and gotten into a debate or a challenge or defense, gotten defensive or whatever. But it was one of those situations where it's like, I'm just going to kind of let it go and let things kind of just do what they do. And I'm glad. So thinking about that, being put to the test with certain things. This episode is going to be about what happens if somebody gives you $5 million. How do you deal with that? Okay, that's not really it. I'm not expecting, God isn't quite like that. But I do want to talk about, something else that came up actually just yesterday. We have a niece. We have three nieces and a nephew who live in Germany, and the youngest of whom is about seven years old. And for whatever reason, her mom reached out to my wife yesterday and said that the 7-year-old had a question about God, and if God created everything, who created God? And I love the question, and because number one, I love that she's thinking about these things. She's thinking about God. She's thinking about. It's a great question, and I thought, wow, I love the fact that she's thinking along these lines. So I thought, we wanted to discuss it a little bit, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity to just break it down very simply, and yet it's so profound. The very beginning of the Bible, Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, talks about God creating the heavens and the earth. And, that is simply defined as the universe. And, we are to this day, 2025, as I record this, we're still exploring the universe. We're still, we have cameras out in space. We have, spaceships of all kinds that have been out there for years exploring the depths and the widths and the colors and the shapes and the gases and you name it, everything that makes up our universe. And we've discovered a lot of amazing things, and yet I know we haven't even scratched the surface of everything that's out there. And Genesis 1:1 tells us that God created it all. And with that, I thought about the word universe. Universe. And if you just break it down, uni, simply obviously means one. And verse, I used to think about word, and it does in certain contexts, but in this context, it means to turn into. And so to take the word universe is like to turn into one. So at the voice of God, the Creator, He turned all matter, time, energy, space into one. And it's amazing to think about God. And it says the key word, to answer my niece's question, the key phrase at the very beginning of the Old Testament in the Bible, in the very beginning of the New Testament, well, at least in John chapter 1, not necessarily the beginning of the New Testament, because the New Testament starts with Matthew, but in John chapter 1, they both start with the same phrase, in the beginning. That means, as far as time and all of that, nothing existed before this moment. And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. In the New Testament, it says, in the beginning was the Word. And the word in that context is really referring to Jesus. Jesus existed in the very beginning. Now, obviously, he wasn't introduced to us in the flesh until, you know, much later in the, in the historic and chronological process of the Bible in humankind. But Jesus existed as part of the Godhead, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And just to think about, okay, so the very same God, the very same creative God, the very same voice that spoke everything into existence. And I'm once again out in this beautiful scenery. Now, I'm obviously underneath a structure right now, just to give you a little bit of a different background. This was man made, but everything out there made by God. And that's just this little corner of the United States, this little corner of the world, this little corner of the universe. And God was behind every bit of it, every detail, and spoke it into existence. And the fact that God created all this with, he has obviously an incredible creative power and just authoritative power. That very same God speaks to us today. And all you have to do at any given time of your day is to just talk to him. And you don't have to, some people are uncomfortable praying because they, maybe they were raised in a ritualistic kind of environment where prayers are written out and you have a certain prayer for the sick or the certain prayer for the needy or the certain prayer for whatever. And prayer is much simpler than that. It's just saying, it can be even with unbelief or a lack of belief or doubt or questions. And you say, God, if you're out there, people pray that way. And that's okay. God's like, that's okay. Just talk to me. Because the God who created all of this, everything that we know and understand and far beyond our knowledge and understanding, wants to hear your voice, wants you to crawl in his lap and talk to him. And I was thinking about one of my cats. He can be something of a, I was going to say provocateur. It's kind of a big word for just saying he likes to provoke one of his big brother. So Ludo is our cat, and he's a sweet, gentle cat, but he has a certain rivalry with our older cat, Nemo. And Nemo is also about 2.5 times bigger than Ludo. And so sometimes, especially around feeding time, Ludo will go over and maybe give Nemo a little nudge with his face. They'll back off, they'll stare at each other, and then he'll start taking a whack. They'll start whacking at each other. I don't know why. There's no reason. They don't have a bad relationship. They don't hate each other, but for whatever reason, they start sparring. And then every now and then, Nemo, who is equally a gentle, loving soul, will snap. And he'll chase Ludo around, corner him. You hear some hissing going on. It's never gotten violent or anything, but it can get a little terrifying. And then little Ludo will hide. He'll go into tight places because Nemo is a big boy. He's a big fella. And so Ludo will hide in small places under the couch, behind a couch, behind furniture that Nemo can't get to. But when I'm in my office and I'm working, Ludo will oftentimes run into the office and run under the desk, under my legs, under my feet. And he finds, safety there. And while I know they're playing, but I also know Ludo's got a little bit of fear in him because Nemo could tear him up if he really wanted to. So I know there's a little bit of healthy fear and respect there. But Ludo instinctively will run underneath me and seek shelter, protection from Big Bad Nemo. And Nemo will back off and he'll sit there and look at him, and he knows I won't let him attack or fight him or beat him up or anything like that. So it's just kind of a thing. And it just got me thinking about that's our God. That God who's all powerful, who is all knowing, who is everywhere all at once, who's not bound by time. He created time. That we can run to him anytime when we're scared, when we're hurting, when we're, afraid of the unknown, or we're afraid of even what we do know, that we're facing certain things, that God is like, I'm here. Just run to me and I will protect you. I will guide you. I will show you love. I will be here for you. I'm right here. Just call to me. So the very same God who created all of this into existence, things that are just beyond our ability to comprehend, that very same God who spoke everything into existence wants to hear your voice, wants you to just crawl in his lap, to come to him, and he will speak to you. The very same voice that spoke everything into existence will speak to you. How incredible is that? And so just in the last 24 hours, when my wife sent me a screenshot of Olivia's question, who created God? And to say, God created everything. In the very beginning, before any of this existed, God, he was there. And today, all these years, all the number of human beings who have come and gone, and animals and trees and you name it, that's just on this planet. We haven't even scratched the surface of what is on other planets. I'm not even talking about life or anything, but just the details in how planets can exist based on, the gases and their distance from the sun and all this other stuff. It's like to think that all of this existed and our God is so creative to do all this. Even looking at the animal world, it's like the different types of animal species and how they are designed to live and exist and continue to exist and sustain life in their environments, whether they're created to be underwater or in trees or in the air, on land, you name it. God created them to exist and to live, and to have a diet that they're suited for, and to be all this stuff that God created. All of that. Our bodies are a miracle because all the parts that make us who we are and able to live and breathe and walk and talk, and even those who can't walk and talk and everything else, it's like you still have the components that sustain life. And just thinking that very same God is available to you anytime, day or night, just to talk to him and share your concern, share your care with him, share your fears with him, and let him speak to you and let him guide you. And so many people just go to him and say, God, if you get me through this, I'll never do that again, or I'll always do this. I'll start going to church or whatever. People will bargain and negotiate with him. You know what? Just go to God and let him show you who he is. Let him love you the way he does, and let him unveil all the goodness, all the blessings, everything that he has set aside and purposed for you. He literally has a plan for you and a design and a purpose for you. And if you will seek him, he'll show it to you. And he's been working on you behind the scenes, even if you don't know it. He's been preparing you and equipping you with gifts that you are uniquely qualified to use to impact your world, your friends, your family, your neighborhood, your workspace, your school, wherever you are. God has given you particular equipment and experiences and everything else to help you have an impact for his glory. So I just encourage you to take advantage of that. So that's my word for you today. So thank you for joining me again. Just remember to be encouraged and in turn be an encourager. So thank you so much. Have a great day. God bless you. I look forward to talking again very, very soon. Take care.
Thank you for joining the Coach Barnabas podcast. We'd greatly appreciate your support by liking and subscribing to the podcast and setting up notifications so we can let you know when new episodes are available. We'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment. Make a difference today.